All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first media availability here. We have Kyle Busch, driver of the number 8 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet. Kyle has 1 win this year so far at Fontana and 2 wins here at Martinsville, one of them in this spring race. So we'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions. We'll go ahead and start with Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. After experiencing the wet weather tires yesterday, if there's anything you would suggest to NASCAR as far as change in procedures, what would it be?
I think the biggest thing is the missed opportunities of, just going earlier. If the intent is to go earlier with this idea, then let's do it. We're cleared, I think, 30 minutes before we ended up taking the green flag. Like, we wasted 30 minutes of more track drying. I think some of that was pit road, but we could have gone sooner. And then, we ran on the wets, the longest run of the race, in a dry condition. And then when it got, raining again, caution was out, just make the call. Like, all right, wet weathers, and go back on wets. And then let us run however long we run and see what happens in the track. And as it's raining, just that little drizzle that we had, I think that's sort of the optimum condition of having 36 trucks out there running around making laps. It's going to keep the track relatively wet, relatively dry. It's going to be okay, I think. But at Martinsville, where speeds are 90 to 40, like, why don't we try it here and get an idea and get some data on it with a race, and get ready for, say, Loudon, if it happens at Loudon. Like, if we go to Loudon right now, I don't know that I have the confidence because I don't know what's going to happen, from here yesterday.
Any other questions? Yep, back here.
Hey, Kyle, Trenton from FrenchDress.com. How would you say driving on the wet tires here at Martinsville compares to a road course where the speeds are different, but you still have the hard braking in the corners and everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's just less grip. Like, I think lap times were maybe 2 seconds slower or something like that. So you're out of the gas earlier. You're on the brakes less because you don't want to create a lockup scenario. You have to corner slower because it's just the grip of the tires way less. Acceleration slower. So everything's just way slower. It feels like slow-mo almost. But it seemed like there was a lot of guys out there that were struggling a little bit with grip, and we're loose on entry, loose on exit, and we're just kind of sliding around, hanging on, and our truck was pretty good. So I was happy and pleased with the product that we had there. The tires were wearing. It was dry, but they didn't blister up and chunk up and come apart or anything like that. So again, after looking at it, if NASCAR officials were on pit road looking at the tires and everything after the first run, then it's like, hey, okay, well, let's take the next step. Let's go to the next level and see what we can get out of this program idea.
We'll go up front to Alex and then Holly.
Hi, hi, Kyle. Alex Etlow of the Charlotte Observer. Chase said that while he was out, that he talked to you about, or while he was injured, and what that was like. I'm curious, what was that conversation, and are you happy that he's back? Yeah, no, we just talked a little bit back and forth about my experience of my injury and what my stuff was like, and my leg injury is different. Everybody's injuries are different, but my leg injury was different than his leg injury. It was actually more similar to my foot, where I had plates and screws in my foot, and it was not always the easiest to endure a race with the left foot and braking and all that sort of stuff, which his is more knee joint related. So he's gonna be sore if he runs the whole race. He's gonna be sore afterwards. It's just not easy to jump right back in and go. Even my 5th week when I won at Sonoma, I mean, I couldn't walk afterwards. It hurt so bad, but welcome him back. Obviously, it's great to have him back. I think a lot of his fans missed him and want to see him back in that car.
Holly?
Hi, Kyle. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. Would you say that, generally speaking,
going to the short tracks, it's a little more mellow than it was in the past? Have the road courses almost become more of what we used to envision the short tracks to be like? What's the kind of general vibe when you guys come to the short tracks now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there's still some gouging that happens during the short track races. You know, it's not quite as frequent, I guess, that we see somebody get into somebody and create a yellow or whatnot, but the restarts and stuff do tend to get hectic. If you get a caution in a cup race, any race for that matter, within 30 laps to go, 20 laps to go, it's going to be a complete shit show because everybody's just dive bombing and trying to get all the spots they can and ricocheting off of everybody to get further up towards the front. Honestly, you probably have a better shot winning from 6th with 20 to go than you do from the lead. So it's the nature of it and what all we've come to accustomed to be with the amount of respect that's been the last couple of years.
We'll go in the back to Zach and then up to Dustin and then over here.
NASCAR.com. Kyle, how do you anticipate the new short track package impact?
I mean, I would hope to think it's better than what we had. Let's go with that. You know, Richmond, I felt like the cars were a bit more of a handful. I felt like you could follow a little bit closer than what you could last year, but you still had those deficiencies. So I think we're still going to see some of that deficiency here, even though you're rolling through the corners maybe 60 miles an hour or whatever it is. But, you know, Mark Martin said it best years ago. If you're moving down, aerodynamics matter, downforce matters, you know. So just put your hand out the window going down the highway at 20 or whatever. I don't recommend going down the highway at 20. But maybe I meant 20 over. The issue, like the Phoenix race, when I ran the Xfinity car, you could get right up to the guy in front of you's rear bumper, and you could close that gap, and you could get to him, and you could actually mess up the guy in front of you. You could get him aero loose. You know, with our cars, you can't really get there, and if you try really, really hard and you do get there, the front guy feels no effect, and he just goes on his merry way, and you feel all the blowout is what we call it. And so the Cup cars are still not where they need to be, and we don't seem to have that fixed yet.
Dustin?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You talked in terms of your comeback and just the physical challenges, especially like at Sonoma, even with the win. I don't know, and I'm sure I probably don't have an appreciation of the mental challenge of what an athlete has to do in coming back and doing the same motion over and over when you know it's going to, I'm assuming in most cases, hurt like hell. Mm-hmm. How did you get through that, and is that as much, and I know everybody's different, is that as much the biggest challenge for Chase is that mental aspect, or I guess the pain threshold type of thing? Can you explain that? Or
Well, I mean, I don't know how long he's been walking for, but I don't think it's been very long, maybe 14 days. So just the brunt load and you know, going for a jog, I seriously doubt he's doing that. But when you're in a race car and you're hitting that brake pedal and you're pushing load through all those joints down through the brake pedal. So, you know, it's going to be an uncomfortable scenario for him for the next little bit and what all happens. But again, I'm no medical expert or a doctor, so I don't really know. But just from my experience, you know, that's how it was for me. It wasn't always pleasant with the plates and the screws for the whole year until I got them out. When I got them out and I walked out of the hospital, I was like, damn, I feel good. This feels like a brand new foot. I'm all right, you know. And since then, I've been all right with it. You know, I've had a little bit of bouts here or there with probably the first signs of arthritis and whatnot from just the joints and everything, but otherwise I've been good.
We'll go right back over here and then come to Jordan.
Mark Garrow. Kyle, we're about a third of the way through the regular season. How do you look back at what you've been able to do and the things that you guys are trying to work on to be better towards the end of the regular season into the playoff?
Yeah, you know, I can't look back to California and think any higher of that moment, being able to win that race and what that meant for our team and everything, for myself from the off season and getting into this year. Being able to win there was huge. So, the last few weeks has kind of been a little bit up and down. We struggled a lot at Richmond. That was probably our poorest performance, and we salvaged a 14th. If we would have been on the flip of the strategy like the 9 was, our pace was the same as the 9. He ran second. So potentially we could have, stolen a top 5 out of that day. But last week, Bristol Dirt, we were fast. We were good running up front. One of the quickest guys much of that race, and then got smashed in the wall about 4 times and kept bending the rear toe each time, and then deteriorated the car and ended up falling back and tried to carry it too much myself and stuffed it in the fence. So just didn't get the finish that we deserved out of that one. If I would have had 20 positions better on that, which I think would have been plenty easy to do, we'd be 4th in points right now. So we just need to keep getting points, man, and just continuing to improve and evolve our program. But the guys have been doing a really good job. Really impressed with Randall and the work that we've done with Team Chevy and everything else to get us continuing the right direction.
Come to Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What's it like for a driver's psyche when you go through like a prolonged winless streak?
It's not fun. It's hard. A lot of self-doubt, probably. You think about it, right? But then you're like, no, man. Like, I know how to do this. Like, I haven't changed. I'm not sucking. But something's just missing. So it's definitely tough on the mental psyche if you haven't won in a little while, and it's not always the easiest thing to go through. But with our sport now, with the parity that you have, I mean, you're probably gonna see a lot more races go between victories.
Do you ever go back, or I guess you go back and look at like highlights or anything and kind of remind yourself of like, hey, I'm still that guy, or I can still do this?
Not really. More so for me, it's just trying to continue to look forward and work hard at what we need to do to get our stuff better, to go forward, to get better. It's not a lot that I can do, but as much as I can do, I try to do, and just help the team and the organization and all the stuff that we do. So, if you continue to keep doing your prep work, you have no excuses. If all that work that's going into it isn't paying off, then you kind of wonder what the hell you're doing, or how you're getting beat by others. But man, when it comes down to it, it's just the nature of the luck of the draw, I guess, on how good your car is that particular weekend. Yeah.
Come back over here.
Jasmine Sharp with the podium finish. Kyle, with Chevy and the other manufacturers towards more better sims and all that, prepared drivers, with this set of events with last night's race and all that, what are some areas you think that could be improved with that? What are some things you think down the road, maybe even iRacing could kind of get a hold of?
As far as the wet?
Yes, overall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes you have to have real life situations in order to verify sim. You can't always trust sim, believe sim. Trust me, I've been doing a lot of it. So I feel like we're going to the racetrack to win every single weekend, and we're running 14th. So you can't always believe what you feel on a computer. So like I said earlier, yesterday's situation, we could have been back on wets and just gone for it and tried. And if we looked worse than we should, then throw a yellow and say, okay, well, that's not working. So let's let it dry out a little bit more or whatever, and find where that level of wet is. But honestly, for how it was, I felt like even there at the end when we all were brought down pit road while it was raining and the track was getting damp and it was getting wet, we should have put wets on. We should have rolled right back out there. We should have went green and gave it a shot. So just to see, get the data on it. That's your best data, is real life situation.
Any final questions for Kyle? All right, great. Thanks so much.